success stories, and the pattern nobody talks about. Introduction. The blueprint of greatness. Out of nowhere, something ties together an ice skater from Oakland, a sound architect out of Chicago, one man running through dusty Kenyan hills. Most folks cheer only those standing on top. Yet beneath that noise, something quieter moves. On separate paths, blades slicing frost, beats built in silence, breath measured mile after mile, they seem worlds apart. Take Alysa Liu spinning under bright lights. Then there's Kanye shaping rhythms no one else hears yet. Meanwhile, Eliud floats across asphalt with lungs full and fire behind his eyes. Watch them closely though, a pattern appears, slow at first. It whispers not about effort alone, nor gifts handed down by chance. Greatness hides deeper. Out of nowhere comes a mix, stubborn faith in yourself, the habit of getting better every day, then luck showing up uninvited. Many sit around waiting to be told they're ready. Those three just started walking without asking. What looks like triumph turns out to be nothing more than thinking differently each morning. Listen, the cheer of athletes, music blaring at awards shows, footsteps hitting pavement hour after hour, all follow one quiet rule. Hold tight to what you see ahead, especially when others swear it isn't real. Alysa Liu finding herself again. One day, a little girl laced up skates under fluorescent lights while her dad watched closely. This moment carried more than fun. It held history, escape, struggle. Alysa Liu had walked away from chaos in Beijing during springtime unrest, landing in California empty-handed except for stubborn hope. Years passed. One thing led to another when he finished law school, then came the days of raising 5 kids on his own, each born by way of surrogate. Routines bent and shifted under his hands, molded like wet earth. Around that time, Arthur found himself drawn to figure skater Michelle Kwan. By the late 2000s, he brought the children to a community rink. There, Alysa discovered joy in speed, in tipping over, in the rush that felt just like riding a roller coaster. Taking Alysa to glide across frozen water seemed ordinary at first, yet his aim stretched beyond play, perfection called louder than games. She felt the wind rush past each time she spun fast, thrilled by motion that mimicked flight. But joy slowly shared space with demand. The sharper her skill grew, the tighter expectations pressed. One morning, snow still dusting the driveway, her dad already wired cash overseas just to book ice time under Tokyo lights. Out came the radar gun at practice one day just to clock how fast her spins really were. Some guess puts his spending near 500 grand, maybe more. While others her age swapped baseball stats or saved candy wrappers, she flipped through the air like a book being rewritten live. 13 years old when it happened, right there on ice, nailing that triple axel during the 2019 National Showdown, the first so young to ever take the title. Birthdays came and went without cake, just blade marks on rink edges telling time instead. Holidays folded into flight itineraries, December melting into departure gates. What looked like discipline from afar smelled different up close, control dressed as care, measured in split seconds off a radar readout. That fall, things snapped. Arthur let go of the trainers after spotting too much idle time instead of real work. By late 2021, he'd had enough of paying just to watch people stand still. Trainers rotated like tires on his terms only, he decided when they stayed, when they vanished. Her jumps soared clean, her voice did not. 7 years after the peak, every day dragged from dawn till dusk, sapping her strength. Though others saw triumph, she felt like someone just along for the ride. Out of nowhere, after finishing 6th at the 2022 Beijing Olympics, Alysa vanished from competition. While only 16, right when attention burned brightest, she stepped back. No warning, just a message on Instagram. Suddenly the name didn't carry the skater tag anymore. It stood alone, Alysa. Instead of blades and routines, she chose thin air and rocky trails, hiking all the way to Everest Base Camp in Nepal. Away from cameras, she sat in a UCLA lecture hall learning how minds work, then later signed up for driving lessons. A different kind of freedom came when no one gave orders, no trainer, no dad calling shots. Winter brought a shift, though it wasn't during practice sessions under lights. On snow-covered hills in early 2024, something clicked while speeding downhill. Wind biting her face, speed humming beneath her boots. That moment echoed why blades once called to her, not glory, just motion. Skating wasn't the problem, control was missing, that much became clear. Then everything shifted, quietly, without warning. Back at the rink, alone, just 60 minutes here and there, she rediscovered something fizzy, bright, a feeling lost long ago. Victory stopped mattering somewhere along the way. Instead, joy slipped in through the side door, unannounced. Her sense of self no longer clung to how well she performed. Back at practice, Alysa moved on her own terms. Not because anyone asked, but because she chose. Coaches came back, ones her dad let go long ago, but only if they agreed to how things ran now. Music selection? Hers alone. Costume designs? Hand-drawn by her. What she ate stayed off limits to everyone. Her father's approval weighed nothing in those decisions. It looked strict from the outside, yet what seemed cold was really clear. She guarded a way of working built on shared effort, one where she held say. Kaori Sakamoto might just make history. She could claim the world crown, a feat last achieved by an American woman back in 2006. Her path stands apart from past efforts. Timing bends in her favor now. No one expected this moment so soon, yet here it is unfolding quietly. A shift happens without loud announcements. Records wait to be rewritten. The stage doesn't need extra drama. What matters grows in stillness. The comeback wasn't fueled by guilt or praise, just space shaped by self-respect. Out of nowhere in 2025, she beat the reigning world champ. By the time Winter Games hit Milan in 2026, everything about her had shifted. Moving across the ice to MacArthur Park Suite, picked by her, no one else, her presence felt less like routine, more like painting with motion. Gold came her way, the first US woman in 24 years to claim it. Yet what truly mattered sat deeper than metal resting on skin, the truth that she'd shaped every second according to her own sight. Walking off a broken idea of winning, she built a new, entirely hers, Kanye West building. His own certainty, back then, around the start of the 2000s, Kanye West worked out of sight. Hidden from view, he shaped hits without stepping into the light. At Rockefeller Records, his beats were gold, especially for Jay-Z's The Blueprint, where old soul tracks found new life through him. People knew his name in studios, not on stages. Cash came easily, fame did not. Artists judged by street stories only. Toughness mattered most, real or fake didn't matter. A past filled with struggle required. Violence helped too. Image ruled everything. Singers like him left waiting. Out here, most folks expected someone like Kanye to stay quiet. Raised by a teacher living outside the city, he stood out right away. Record companies such as Capitol said no. Too odd, they thought, a young man in pastel shirts talking about faith and books. People close to him, including big names like Jay-Z and Damon Dash, treated his rhymes as just a hobby. Their eyes were set on keeping him behind equipment, shaping sound, never facing crowds. Still, something inside kept lifting him when others looked away. That kind of hope doesn't break easily. Out here, different didn't mean broken. It meant space to connect with anyone who never quite fit. Not claiming the streets gave him room to stand apart, speaking straight at those tuned out by the usual noise. A rapper guided more by pulse than posture, he sidestepped the script handed down by labels and playlists. Who needs approval when your truth walks its own beat? Late one night in LA back in 2002, everything changed fast. A wreck tore through his body, jaw broken, voice locked up tight. He couldn't speak, yet that silence sparked something fierce instead. While others might have stepped away for months, he leaned in by week 2. With wires holding bone together, he stood at the mic, pushing sound through pain. That track, called Through the Wire, carries grit, not just notes. You catch it clear, the ache, yes, but sharper, raw need burning behind each line. Music carried him through broken bones and quiet nights. Not until 2004 did the college dropout arrive, then everything cracked open. People began showing soft edges, paying rent, admitting fears because of what they heard. Years passed, he moved sideways whenever anyone tried to pin him down. Rap was waiting, but instead came cold machines humming sorrow on 808s and heartbreak. After noise and shame followed that moment at the microphone, he vanished into island air. Then fantasy arrived, loud, tangled, flawless, and suddenly silence fell across critics' mouths. What he showed was simple. Your view of yourself can outweigh the noise around you. When outside expectations fail to hold you back, something else takes shape instead. That inner picture, quiet but steady, starts guiding each step forward. Slowly, without drama, it pulls you toward who you always were underneath. Eliud Kipchoge broke the 2-hour marathon barrier. Life taught Eliud Kipchoge early that waiting can be stronger than rushing. One coin added to another, month after month, filled his tin until there was enough. 500 days passing like slow footsteps brought him what he needed most. A single pair of shoes waited in a shop window, bought piece by piece through early mornings carrying bottles door to door. That choice to begin with almost nothing shaped how far he could go. When 16 winters had passed, he knocked on soil-stained boots instead of calling experts online. The man next door ran races under spotlights. Now they shared paths carved into hills. What started as questions became decades without end. Growing up with only one parent meant extra hurdles back then, yet each morning saw him cover 2 miles on foot just to reach class. Fancy gear never showed up in his story. Instead, there was a bike and something bigger inside him. Earning small coins while hauling milk, he held onto them tightly, knowing they'd eventually add up to a single pair of shoes made for speed. Starting small builds someone who breaks limits. 10 years went by with him owning every race on the track, yet what really pulled him forward was the long run, nature's hardest challenge for body and mind. Victories weren't enough. He rewrote how races were supposed to go. In 2018, Berlin saw him claim the fastest time ever recorded. Back in 2016, experts claimed running a marathon under 2 hours would take decades, closer to 2075. Yet that prediction shattered years ahead of schedule. Since forever, experts insisted that finishing 26.2 miles beneath 2 hours would break any person. Their verdict? The heart, the breath, they'd fail under such pressure. A figure became a barrier, yet for Kipchoge, it wasn't a stop, more like a test needing another sort of readiness. 25 seconds stood between him and history back in 2017. That near miss happened on a track in Monza, Italy. Most people saw it as an almost impossible feat nearly achieved. Yet for Kipchoge, each leftover second was simply unfinished business. Instead of praise, he turned to training once more. Silence became his routine. 2 years later, Vienna's roads waited under cool morning light. Not merely a foot race, more like science stretching its limits. 41 top runners blocked the breeze around him, while loved ones waited ahead. History seemed to ride along as Kipchoge moved forward. That clock stopped at 1 hour, 59 minutes and 40 seconds, not only shattering numbers, but also shifting how we see our potential. His run whispered something bold: limits aren't fixed. Officials dismissed the mark, calling the setup too perfect, yet minds had already changed. Later, aged 37, he rewrote the real record book once more. Proof: time doesn't stop those who keep pushing. Greatness arrived not from one morning in Austria. It grew from 2 decades of rising before dawn, doing what others avoided. The question for you: most people act like your happiness belongs in their hands. Look at Alysa Liu. She found real peace only after dropping the shape others wanted her to fill. Many of us believe success means ticking off steps laid out by someone else, yet satisfaction rarely shows up on schedule. Reality tends to shake that belief loose. Start with Kanye West, jaw held tight by wires, and still he made sound escape, turning limits into something you could almost dance to. Picture Eliud Kipchoge slicing through air faster than experts claimed human legs allowed, rewriting what counts as doable. Not one arrived already crowned, holding proof they'd win tucked beneath their baby blanket. Each once heard voices say, too early, too odd, aiming where dreams go to vanish. Truth is, most wins don't start with approval from those nearby. Usually they begin by stepping past barriers folks took ages to construct. People assume boundaries are fixed, like stone fences after a stumble. Yet the real story hits closer to home. A limit only exists once you choose to carry it. Alone on a chair, eyes resting on dreams long stored in shadows, suddenly there it is, slipping in unnoticed. Not loud, never announced. Just this bare question, small yet heavy. Would you stay true even if nobody noticed? If nothing came back but empty air? That hush, cold and wide as it seems, turns out to be soil, the kind where what's genuine learns how to rise. Choosing yourself when everything else shouts louder, that's when your days begin feeling like yours. What stuck with you after reading? Share the tale that hit closest to home on your current journey.